So he's playing away and he's listening to the bass and going, hang on a minute, I can do funk as well. Tick-a-tick-a-ting, you know. So yeah, and the average white band is presumably where all white boys begin on their journey to achieve the title of Whitest alive. So it's a fair starting point.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another Friday episode of the Audiophiles. It's Andy, it's John, and it's time to dig into a song and an artist requested by you guys out there in the listening audience. And today we are going to be checking out a track that was offered up by Alexander Stefan 7805. And Alexander's popped in a couple times, once to recommend this and another time just to gently remind us that he had recommended this. But fear not, Alexander, your day has finally come. We are going to be tackling the song that you offered up on the our Deer Hunt. The initial request was made on our Deer Hunter Filth and Squalor video, and it was for a song called Golden Cage by the Whitest Boy Alive, which, John, I thought you and I were pretty strong contention for, but it turns out we've lost. But hey, you know, second and third place ain't bad. Are you familiar with the Whitest Boy Alive?
I think I went to school with him.
We all did.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I had only heard the name before, and so this was an interesting opportunity for me to give them a listen, and obviously do all the homework and notes for this. So it'll come as a little surprise that John will be going off and giving this one a listen. So John, please go do that. Come back, let me and Alexander and the rest of the gang out there know what you made of this track, Golden Cage by the Whitest Boy Alive.
Can do, will do. It's amazing how some things are just ingrained in you, and it's just as slight as a thing, but that bass starting just 3 notes of dun dun dun. I was expecting dun 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 dun. Another one bites the dust. Just 3 notes, and it's just that's what it is. Well, clearly it isn't. But there you go. We're only 37 seconds into this, but it's really interesting as well. So you got this guitar, it's nice sounding guitar. Do you know what it sounds like? It sounds like early Cure. And he's like doing this, which could be, but then he's doing his bit and he's listening to the bass and going, oh, actually, you know, I could be funky too. Diddly. Funny. I'm just going to bring that back a touch.
Just to find yourself sitting in cold you back, but I also felt this way when I was still with you. Yes, of course I missed you and I miss you back, but I also felt this way when I was still with you. This city's no longer mine. There's sadness written on every corner.
Nice.
Each lover was made to sign. Now I hear them calling me over and over.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that was really nice. I've seen loads of videos like that before, so I didn't really pay much attention to that. Um, but the music itself, it had almost this detached, doesn't sound weird, um, coolness about it. Almost like a European feel in terms of, oh, it's the end of the affair, we shall go our separate ways. Um, and that's the end of it. No sort of Latin hysterics, very sort of coolness to it. And I think that sort of coolness is really is quite endearing, but it gets you to a level where you're not going to completely fall in love with this song because it's quite detached. Um, that's my take anyway. I really liked it though. There's some lovely sounds out of that guitar. It was all very simple, but just really beautifully placed. Um, yeah, kind of like Scandinavian decor. Um, yeah, interesting. Yeah, this definitely sounded European. I think his voice sounded like not necessarily somebody whose English is their first language. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with his vocals. And if he does hail from another country, I'm sure his English is much better than whatever language I would attempt to communicate with him. Um, but yeah, I like this actually. It was cool. I think it's one of those ones that would grow me even more listen to it. But I like this sort of Queen reference, and I like the sort of Cure reference and the sound and tone of the guitar as well. Yeah, this is interesting. Got to find out more about the whitest boy alive. Am I doing that? I have to go back and speak with Andy.
All right, you're back from your gilded cage. What'd you make of this track, my friend?
Yeah, it's amazing how some things are just so ingrained in yourself. I'll explain. So the song starts, we get a few taps of the old stick, and then we get into this what I can only describe as a Hanna-Barbera type strolling bass. However, the first three notes just put me straight into Another One Bites the Dust. And it's crazy because it's only three notes.
Right,
But
yeah.
what I mean by ingrained, you get this dum, 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 and also dum, 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 dum. I will say, but it obviously doesn't. But I will say, I would have said White Boy Funk, but that would be harsh on John Deacon. But yeah, so pull it back, start again, clear your mind. Bass comes along, as I say. When I say Hanna-Barbera, it's kind of like you imagine it's the bass line to a bit of a cartoon where the titular character of whatever is just strolling along the street and there's this bass
Yeah.
playing. It's
Can I
exactly
can I
it.
just jump in and say I immediately thought that these guys would get along great with Thundercat because of like the
Yeah.
fun animated nature of his bass lines, particularly in what we listened to on the
Yeah.
channel a couple months ago. Yeah, so I was like instantly that's where my mind went. This sort of nerd funk type stuff, which is interesting
Yes.
all in of its own.
So the bass is joined by this guitar, which has this interesting quality. As it riffs away, I'm immediately struck that it sounds like very early Cure guitar part. However, it's been played by somebody who adds a secret little message at the end of each phrase, a little flourish that says that they secretly want to join the average white band. And it's like I stopped the reaction, say he's playing away and he's listening to the bass and going, "Hang on a minute, I can do funk as well." Tick 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 cling, you know. Yeah, and the average white band is presumably where all white boys begin on their journey to achieve the title of whitest alive. So it's a fair starting point. Anywho, it's all very pleasant and quite engaging, actually. It's very simple and it's minimalist, but it's nice. And then the vocalist begins, and the guitar immediately switches to these sort of dreamy chords, just sort of ringing out. And the vocalist, his voice has that detached quality. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking perhaps not a natural English speaker. It's got that sort of sound to it, which again just by the way they were doing things, it reminds me of sort of early 80s new wave vocals that had that same almost,
Yes.
point to it. But it's
New
not quite as
quality.
Android as that, but yeah. I'm getting even more. I can't help it. I've tried to put it out of my, but I'm getting more another bites at dust vibes halfway through as he's doing this. Um, End of the first verse, and the guitar starts vamping rather pleasantly, actually, and the whole thing was very very contained and low key. Um, that guitar part that you listen to is just some really nice stuff. It's not, it's not, face melting stuff, but it's really, really nice and pretty. But it's the musical equivalent of watching someone smoking a cigarette and they got a really long piece of ash on the end of the cigarette and you're waiting on it to fall off. And everybody's basically stopped listening to what he's saying and they're just watching it and it doesn't fall.
Yeah.
But you can't help it, it gets your attention. But it's like that. And of course, it's deliberately so like that. It's just this way and it's not there. Actually, it does sound, and this will sound a bit silly, but it's more like it sounds to me like a European, an even more European version of some of the like the down tempo stuff that we've listened to, mixed in with indie as well.
Mm.
And then we catch this line, which I think is like a chorusy bit because it repeats. So something about, of course, I miss you and miss you bad, but I always felt this way when I was still with you, something like that, which is an understated way of him getting all emotional. That's about as emotional as he gets. And I'm thinking at this point that this is kind of like a very cool, detached, again, very European way of consolidating the end of an affair. It's okay, it's over, and now we go out and drink and eat. It's just very, very so as opposed to the sort of the Mediterranean fiery sort of you're bastardo. It's not like that. It's the very sort of civilized, cool, detached version. So there's a couple of weird like beat skips in it as well, which I don't know if that was due to the source of the video, perhaps doing a bit funny. I'll put it down to that rather than they're deliberate in song because it's just weird how it sort of skips a little bit. So I think that's just a little, hair in the gate, as they used to say. At the start of the next verse, then we get some lovely strikes from the guitar. After there's a phrase he says there's sadness written on every corner, and then that guitar sort of striking. But then he does it for like a couple of phrases. Um, and then he sings another couplet, and then the guitar goes into what is the equivalent for him of a Eddie Van Halen solo. But it's really pure, beautiful notes ringing out, and even the bass gets caught up in this level of enthusiasm, which for them is almost sort of Himalayan compared to everything else. And he does a couple of little sort of funky trills, and then sadly it's gone and finished. So yeah, I thought this was really interesting. I thought it was quite minimalist and sort of detached and cool, a bit like Scandinavian furniture. Um, I would say it was really lovely sort of slice of cool Euro indie, almost funk. Um, but that sort of level of detachment is something that sort of stops you from like falling head over heels with it, but it's kind of like an appreciative of it. I thought it was really nice and I really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And you'd have this on, as it were, and you'd experience it rather than rushing home waiting to listen to this song, sort of
Yeah.
thing. It's one of those vibe songs, which I really liked. Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I did too. I really enjoyed it. It's charming in its own way, right? Like it kind of
Hmm.
makes you like crack a little bit of a smile, even though you're
Yeah.
not sure if it's a joke or not. Which is not to say that I don't take it seriously. It's just that it's got a fun nature to it, whether intended or not. That I think warms me up to it. You know what I mean? That's what made it stand out for me and charmed me by it. So yeah, I thought this is a really fun listen as well. And it's interesting to hear your take on it, given you went off to react to it and give it a listen. So you said a couple things I thought were really interesting that you keyed in on because the Whitest Boy Alive is a German Norwegian musical group
Yeah.
based in Berlin. So when you said Scandinavian furniture or whatever, I maybe
Yeah,
chuckle.
that kind of makes sense. That's a hell of a combination, but
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that kind of makes it. There's this weird coldness to it and the Europeanness to it, which, of all the European countries, the one that's got their emotions down would be Scandinavia and Germany, in
Yes.
terms
Yeah.
of they're buttoned down. They're not the Latin, the
Exactly.
romantics.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're spot on. So yeah, it also makes for some really interesting names for a Yank to pronounce, so bear with me momentarily. The band was originally active from 2003 to 2014. After a 5-year hiatus, the group reformed in 2019. The band is composed of singer and guitarist Erland Uy, who is also of Kings of Convenience.
Excuse me?
Yeah. I don't know what they call it, but the O through with a slash through it,
Yeah, I never know what
YE.
that means.
Yeah, Erland Uy. And bassist Marcin Oz, drummer Sebastian Marchat or Maschat or Mascot. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. And Daniel Nentvig is on the Rhodes piano and Krumar. So interesting stuff going on here. Sebastian's the drummer. Marcin is the bassist. Should get that all out there, given the proper credit. The Whitest Boy Alive started as an electronic dance music project in 2003 in Berlin. Dance music in Berlin? What? But since slowly developed into a band with no programmed elements. The name of the band comes from the idea of a naive, shy Northern European boy that their music is about. The band's German record label was Bubbles. Their debut album, Dreams, was released on June 21st, 2006 in Germany. And I don't know why that sentence makes me. The band's German record label was Bubbles. That just all of that checks out, actually.
That's amazing. So, no, from his time away from the Neverland Ranch, he's running a music empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Finally free now to do his own thing, and this was always his big dream. So, way to go, Bubbles! Go get yours. So in July of 2007, Modular Records signed them to their UK imprint, and the band played their first UK performance with New Young Pony Club at the London Astoria in September of '07. The album was released in the UK with the single Burning in November of that year. The band released their second album, Rules, in March of 2009. It was recorded in the newly built studio located on Punta Boros, Nayarit, Mexico. So these guys are quite the globetrotters. Norwegian German hybrid that kind of came to be or to popularity in the UK and recorded their second album in Mexico. Yeah, they're all over the damn place, racking up those
That's they're
flyers.
just getting kicked out of every country they go to.
That could be. That could be. That's what happens when you're the whitest boy alive. Um,
Yeah.
in June 2014, the band announced via their Facebook page that they were no longer composing or playing together as the whitest boy alive. On the 4th of August in 2017, our boy Erland Uy announced via Facebook that the Whitest Boy Alive would perform a 45-minute one-off reunion show on the 20th of August in 2017 in, brace yourself, Syracuse, Italy, to celebrate the band's to celebrate the birthday of Marcin Uz and Daniel Nentvig. So again, they're now celebrating birthdays in Italy. Further, on September 3rd, 2019, the band announced via Facebook that they would play the Fauna Festival in Chile on November 9th of the same year. These guys, man. And express an interest in booking further shows with the conditions they play shorter sets and less frequently than before due to frontman Erland Oy's tinnitus, or I think you say tinnitus. I think we've had this conversation before. But yes, he suffers from that, so that explains why he would want shorter sets and to play less frequently. On March 5th, 2020, after more than a decade without releasing any new material, the band released a new single, Serious, which was recorded and mixed in Buenos Aires, Argentina. These guys have been in every goddamn country. Spin a globe. And
they are going to run out of places to hide.
Eventually. So a further session to record another new song was planned in the spring of 2020, but was aborted when the COVID-19 pandemic led to the members becoming physically separated while in Mexico for a festival that was later canceled. Confined to the state of Baja California Sur, members Sebastian Mascot and Erland Uy used the hotel recording studio to record material, which was released as the album Quarantine at El Ganzo in July 2020. The track that we were recommended today was featured on the band's aforementioned debut album, Dreams. And Nate Patron of our beloved Pitchfork penned a piece on the album in which he wrote, Dreams presents a sound that invokes every Scandinavian stereotype. Socialism clean, winter wind crisp, expensive sounding, and unfailingly polite. Like the familiar fuzzy phoenix, Uy applies each element of his four-piece band with obsessive meticulousness, creating a tight rhythmic sound that is so unfunky it comes back around to be funky. Over at Drowned in Sound, writer Gareth Dobson said this in his review of the album. While Dreams is a very well realized collection of songs tailored to his own vision, it's Uy's voice that is the constant. It rings through each track, sweet and haunted in equal turns. It's a vocal that deserves more acclaim, standing alone as it does in the current pop world. He would then conclude with this. Dreams is a sophisticated record made by someone exploring his burgeoning musical palette. Assuming that he doesn't deviate into another musical pursuit, this project might just be his breakthrough to a wider, more appreciative audience. So, little did they know at the time that they were about to take a 5-year hiatus after their second album, but such is life. All right, let's jump into these lyrics. So, you no longer care if there's another day. I guess I've been there. I guess I am there now. You knew what you wanted, and you fought so hard just to find yourself sitting in a golden cage. In a golden cage. So of course I miss you and miss you bad, but I also felt this way when I was with you. Yes, of course I miss you and I miss you bad, but I also felt this way when I was still with you. The city's no longer mine. There's sadness written on every corner. Each word was made to sign. Now I hear them calling me over and over. So those are the lyrics. And I will just jump in by saying that this was a lot of fun to listen to. It made me smile the whole way through. I don't know if that was also further bolstered by the kind of rudimentary, interesting drawing illustration of the video that accompanied it. But yeah, I had a lot of fun checking these guys out. I'd love to know if there's more stuff by them that's worth giving a listen. Given they've only released so much material despite being together since the early 2000s, you throw in a 5-year hiatus and a pandemic, these things will happen. But yeah, Good shout. John, thanks for giving this a listen. And Alexander Stefan 7805, thank you for offering it up to us. Really do appreciate it. Guys out there in the listening audience, let us know if there's more from these guys that we need to check out, if there's other tracks worth giving a listen. My interest is piqued. I'd like to know if we should pursue further. So please let us know if you have any other songs or artists that we should check out. Also, feel free to drop them down in the comments field. We will log them for a future Friday. All we ask is your patience because it does take us a while to get to all of these. And we're trying to do it in the fairest way possible. Some of you all have offered up several in the past, and we've done some, but not all of them. We do intend to get around to them, but there are other first timers who would also like a shot as well. So we appreciate your patience and understanding as we go through the meticulous process of deciding who and what with these Friday episodes. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, while we have your attention, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really does help us grow the channel, bring new voices, new recommendations for Friday songs, and thoughts about the songs that John and I exchange with one another as well. So thank you for that. Again, we really do appreciate it. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audio Files. We'll see you later, guys.